So in today's video, I'm going to show you exactly how to run a Facebook ad campaign. I'm going to show you the exact strategy that I've used to help other service businesses make hundreds of thousands of dollars in their niche, in their industry, in their market. It's not special. It's not this like esoteric crazy thing that you have to learn. It's just Facebook ads. It's very, very simple. And I'm going to go ahead and explain it to you like very raw and unfiltered. I see a lot of content creators online make these cookie cutter, like let's sit in front of the camera and tell you about these are 3 ways to improve your Facebook ad account. And to be honest, I just think that's a bunch of BS. And most of the time, it's very simple, generic advice. So I'm going to give you the no nonsense, real advice on how to actually run a Facebook ad campaign for your business. And if you want to see more content just like this, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Let's get into it. Okay, so first things that you need to understand is key principles. So before you actually get into running ads for your own business, you need to actually understand some things psychologically before you ever spend your first dollar on ads. This is something that a lot of content creators will skip. This is something that a lot of business owners will skip, and they'll start running ads and then they'll be disappointed with the results, or they won't do what is required in order to get them the right results. And so we want to do what is required to get us the right results, whether that is you do it by yourself. You're going to be spending money on this. It is expensive. Or if you decide to do it with an agency, because working with an agency is very expensive too. So regardless of what you decide to do, you need to understand these principles. So first thing is that leads and your cost per lead do not matter. All right, I'll say it again. Leads and your cost per lead do not matter. So what that means is a lot of people will try to say that, oh, I'm getting a bunch of leads, or my leads are $15 a piece, or our leads are $100. And how do we get our leads to be $50 instead? You need to understand that your cost per lead does not matter, okay? Because your cost per lead at the end of the day, regardless of what it is, does not affect your revenue. So an example of this might be if you have, say, $50 cost per lead and you get 20 leads and you have spent $1,000 acquiring 20 leads, but none of those leads close. Yeah, you have $50 cost per lead, but whatever, right? Whereas if you spend the same $1,000 and you have 10 leads come in and they are all $100 a piece, then and you close one of them, then your customer acquisition cost is $1,000 and your cost per lead didn't matter. So your cost per lead was significantly higher, but you closed more leads. So understand frequency and volume of leads is what matters most here. Okay, so you want to be focused on volume. You want to get as much volume as possible of leads, so that way your sales team has more people to talk to and more people to close. Okay, either what volume, or if you don't have a big sales team, you might want to focus on quality specifically. But my biggest focus would be quality and volume. If it's costing you $100 to get a qualified lead, then let's get 10 leads a day and spend $1,000 a day. And I know that sounds like a lot of money, but that's where we're going to get into the second principle you need to understand. Acquiring new customers is the most expensive thing that a business can do. So understand, when you're acquiring new customers, it is going to be very, very expensive. And you can either spend your money doing it, or you can spend your time doing it. All right? You need to stop looking at advertising as a way to get new customers, and you need to look at it as an investment to grow your business. Okay? An investment to grow your business. Understand that acquiring new customers is an investment for the long-term stability of your business. Okay, and when you actually build out a proper advertising campaign, your advertising campaign becomes a forecast for how much money your business is able to make over the next coming years. And we're actually going to zoom out in a little bit and look at what it looks like over the course of a couple of years to actually acquire customers versus just looking short term. Right, so acquiring new customers is the most expensive thing that a business can do. You're going to want to spend more money. When you start to see signals, when you start to see that you're generating leads, when you start to see that you're getting quality leads, you want to spend more money. You want to get used to spending money on advertising. First of all, it is free. Like, understand, it is free money. You advertise and then you write it off on your taxes, right? So like, you're basically spending a portion of the money that you made to acquire new customers, and then you still get to write it off. So understand, you can spend as much money as possible. Whenever my ad account, like my bank account that my ad spend comes out of, I don't look at it and go, oh, there's money coming out of my account. I look at it and say, I'm spending money to learn to see if this campaign is going to work. And if it does, then we're going to continue to scale this ad budget so we can get better results, grow the business, and have a better forecast of what our business is going to look like in terms of revenue over the next coming years with this same advertising spend or with higher advertising spend. So the next thing you need to understand is that you need to be prepared to take risks as an entrepreneur. I know you hear this a lot. You need to take risks. Oh, you need to take more risks, take more risks. You hear this all the time. What does that mean? Okay. Taking risks is spending the money required and the time required to actually get the results inside of your business. A lot of people run themselves in circles because they don't want to do the hard thing. Okay. It's easier. It's crazy to believe this, but some people have this. Like, it's easier to pick up the phone and cold call companies instead of spending their own money on advertising because you don't see it. I'm hoping that you can start to understand how advertising works just based off these principles here. I need you to understand that the ad spend that you spend should not matter to you. Like, genuinely, I will throw $5,000 in the bank account that I use to run ads with, and I will completely wave it off out of my mind and not care. You need to have that same mentality when you're running ads. So you need to be prepared to take risks, okay? And here's the thing. Being prepared to take risks comes from your ability to have control over your own life, okay? You have to have control over your own life. You get control over your own life by looking the man in the mirror and being able to trust that person that you're looking at. When you're able to trust the person you're looking at, you can take control of your life, okay, and your individuality because you believe in yourself. And then when you believe in yourself and you take control of your life, that is how you get power. So power is the degree to which you have control over your own life. So to what extent do you have power? It's the same thing. Like, however much control you have over your own life, which you have control by looking yourself in the mirror and being able to trust yourself and being able to understand that you are going to make decisions regardless of what other people think. You are going to live the life that you want to live. And sometimes that powerful person needs to take risks. So I was talking to a client of mine about a month back. He's a client now, but he wasn't then when we were talking. And he was scared to do it. He said, I don't know, maybe it's going to take me some time. I got to think about it. And I realized he didn't really have much to think about. He had the money to do it, and I knew that I could get him the results. And so I told him, I said, John, have you ever had to pay rent before and not had the money to pay the rent? And he said, well, yeah, I've definitely been in that situation. And I said, have you ever just magically pulled money out of your ass to pay for it? And he said, yes. And I said, here's the thing. We decide to be powerful for other people. When it's time for Uncle Sam to ask for some cash, when it's time to pay that rent, when it's time to pay those bills, maybe your kids need something particularly for school or whatever, you have the money to pay then. But when it comes to being powerful for yourself, you never are powerful. Like, I've done this so many times. I've been powerful for other people. I've been powerful for the landlord. I've been powerful for Uncle Sam. I've been powerful for my clients. But when it was time for me to actually take the risk and invest in coaching or invest in advertising, I didn't want to take that risk. Okay? And so when you are able to trust yourself and you can look yourself in the mirror and say, I trust myself, I trust who I am, and I trust where I'm going, guess what? You have more power in your life. And being powerful is the degree to which you have control over your own life. You need to be able to take risks. So understand that spending money, acquiring new customers is expensive. Okay? It's very expensive. But you need to be prepared to take that risk as an entrepreneur. Right? The next thing you need to understand is that ads solve problems. Okay? So advertising is not just meant to bring you new customers. It is meant to solve problems. And the more money that you spend, the more problems that you solve, right? So say you have, you're trying to figure out why, like, your customers are churning very quickly. Well, when you have 10 new customers coming in every single day, you're going to figure out why the customers are churning very fast. If you're running ads for a restaurant business and you have a bunch of customers come in and, people aren't sticking around or coming back a second time, you find out very quickly if your food's good or not. A lot of people try to iterate, change things inside the business, but in reality, they don't have any traffic. And I didn't write this here, but this kind of applies to the same thing, and this is something you need to understand. It's one of my basic principles that I teach in every single one of my videos. It's traffic until proven otherwise. Understand, unless you have 100 people beating on the door every single day, it's traffic until proven otherwise. So understand that, because here's the thing. When you have 100 people beating on your door every day, you can't think about quitting. You can't think about trying to optimize shit that doesn't matter. You have to get people knocking on the door first. So make sure you get people knocking on the door. Ads solve the problems in your business. Okay, so reframe your thought around advertising. They solve problems. And then lastly, you need to stop worrying about the micro or the inputs, and you need to focus on the macro or the outputs. Okay, macro and outputs. So you need to focus on revenue generation, right? Not leads. You need to focus on the revenue generation that you're getting, and you need to focus on the macro, long term. What does the business look like in 6 months if I continue to do this? Okay, you need to think long term. You need to be willing to take risks and think long term. If you're not willing to think long term, you're going to put $50 a day or $10 a day into ads, and then you're not going to get any results, and you're going to wonder what happened. All right, you need to think long term. Long term thinking is, let's spend more money on this. Let's look at the data and see if we need to make any changes. That's what that's all about. So understand that. Stop thinking about today. Stop thinking about how many leads you got this week and the inputs, and start thinking about the macro and the outputs. What is the future going to look like if I continue to do this properly? So now that we got that out of the way, let's go into offer creation. So you understand the key principles. The first thing that you need to do is create an offer. All right. An offer is what you are specifically selling to the person that they're going to say, yes, I want that thing. Okay. And when you're creating an offer is not what you sell. Okay. Understand that. Take that fundamentally. An offer is not what you sell. Understand that people don't care about you. They don't. All right. They genuinely just don't care about you. They just want to solve problems in their lives. All right. And so you need to solve that problem for them. And you need to make an offer to that person that can help them bridge the gap between the problem they're having and the solution that you're able to solve. Not going out there and saying, hey, everyone, I have this solution, but here's the problem you're having, and here's how we solve it. That's what good advertising does. Bad advertising is, hey, everybody, I'm going to get you 50 leads in 2 days. Good advertising is, this is what's wrong with your Facebook campaign, and this is how you can improve it. You see the difference? We're critiquing the way that the customer sees what you're selling. You're not selling them Facebook ads. You're selling them a brand new life where their business is significantly better. You're not selling them a bathroom remodel. You are selling them a new way to enjoy their home or a better experience for the people inside of their home, right? They don't want a bathroom because, oh my God, Sam sells bathrooms. They want a bathroom because grandma is having a hard time getting into the tub and she needs a walk-in shower. So understand, you have to speak to what your clients need. And we do that by thinking of something that your customer can point at and affects their life quality. So think about something they can point at. It has to be tangible. What can I point at and say that I want? All right. What's a token that you can give this person that they're going to take and say, I got the token. Look, I got this token. I'm so excited. They want the token, right? Think about this token, okay? If I told you, for example, in my industry, quality jobs, or I work with bathroom remodelers a lot, so a lot of them, they really like to do like these full bathroom installs, right? So you like fully gut everything. So I'll say like a fully gutted bathroom remodeling job, right? This is like a $30,000 project. These guys make pretty decent profit on it. And if they have a good team set up around this, if they have the right subcontractors in place and like the right team in place, they can knock these out like relatively quickly, right? So they might want complete bathroom installs. So I can create an ad saying, hey, I will get you 10 installs in the next 5 months, right? They can point to that and say, okay, I want that thing. So how can you get that for your customer as well, right? Understand it does not need to be fancy. I think a lot of these offer creation guys or these like advertisers that you see online, they talk about how like you need to make these fancy offers and do all this crazy stuff. That's all water on the bridge. You don't have to do that. Just do something simple, okay? Seriously, like free estimates work. Understand that. Like I wouldn't push that exactly, but like you can do free estimates. So just know it doesn't have to be this like crazy offer. All right, understand that fundamentally. So an example of this might be homeowners might want these 3 things here. They might want comfort in their home. They might want pride, like they might want to like feel better about their home or be prideful about their home, show people their home, their new bathroom, right? And they might want peace of mind. Okay, so you have to be able to sell these things. Okay, these are angles here, and you use these angles to create your offers and create your messaging. So your offer might be get a new bathtub today with $0 down install, and your ad could be like a picture of like a bathtub that they can sit in. A lot of people like bathtubs, like they just want to sit in a bathtub after they're done with work for the day and just, I don't know, read a book or something, take a bubble bath, whatever it is that they like to do. So you have to have that same energy. You have to sell that to them. They can point at that and say, I want a bathtub. Like I want a bathtub in my bathroom, right? So that is what we were selling. That's how you create an offer. So once you create your offer, you're going to be your creatives, okay? You're going to make pictures. You're going to make videos. You're going to make carousels. There's all sorts of things that you can make, but you need to make your creatives. This is what the people see when you run your Facebook ads. This is like the actual video that they see, right? Understand ugly sells. It doesn't have to be beautiful. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to hire a camera team. It doesn't have to be amazing. In fact, I've noticed that the more ugly it is, the more people end up purchasing because it's more authentic. We live in a day of AI and, there's very high quality videos. It doesn't feel very personal. It doesn't feel authentic. A lot of times, ugly sells. When you just say, hey, this is what we do. This is how we do it. This is what you're getting. people buy. And so when you're building your ads, pay very close attention to this. This is the exact steps, this is the exact what you need to say on the ad creatives, right? So the first thing you need to do is you need to call out the audience or grab their attention somehow. Hey, you, pay attention, right? Pay attention, real quick. Murfreesboro homeowners, real quick, pay attention. Call out their attention, get them interested in what you're talking about. That's the first thing you're going to want to do. So wherever, if you have it at the top of your ad, needs to be what they can see first. Okay. And actually, I'll give you another quick like psychological tip. People tend to read things in like an F pattern. So for example, you might have looked at this video and you might have gone and looked here, like when we started, and tried to read across this way. Maybe you could see that the format was like this. So it's not always like that. But a lot of people like to read from here to here, and then they go back here, and they go here, and then they stop here. So when people scan, they scan in this motion here. That's how people scan stuff. Okay. So if you're having your call out, when you do your call out, you have it like at the top. Okay. Call out stays at the top, and they can kind of go this way. And then you want to have your offer. Their eye is immediately going to come down to this middle part section here where you have the offer. So this is where you state the actual value that you're providing to the person. And then at the bottom, you can have them like maybe on the bottom left, or if there's nothing on the bottom left, you know, it could be somewhere on the side here. You tell them how to get started. So your ad kind of looks like this. Your call out is up here in this general vicinity. Then you have your bold offer that you say there, and then you show them how to get started down here. Okay, this is the simple way to set up your ad creative. You can do the same thing with a video, right? I mean, obviously, like images are different than videos, so you're gonna have like different image than the actual video. But if you're gonna make a video, you need to have the same kind of framework. So you're gonna say, hey, Nashville homeowners, listen up, you're not gonna wanna miss this. Right now, you can get a brand new bathroom today with $0 down install. That way you can get the bathtub that you want in your home or that your home deserves so you can relax when you get home from work. Click the button below to get started today, right? And that's what this is all about. Tell them how to get started. Click the button below. Tell them where do they have to go? What's the first step they have to take? Another thing you don't want to do is give them multiple things. Like I've seen a lot of advertisers, a lot of beginner advertisers will write like learn more for like an instant form. And then in the actual ad itself, they will have their phone number, and then in the primary text they will have their phone number and email. So you've given them the phone number twice, you've given them your email, and then you've also told them to click the button below. So people are confused and they don't buy. Give them one place to go. You need to be able to track your data source. Okay, you need to know where they came from, and if someone calls you, you might not know if they came from the Facebook ad or not. So you need to make sure you track data sources, because that's going to help you in the future as you try to scale, right? And then you're going to want to test multiple creative formats and angles. So you're going to want to try videos, you're going to want to try carousels, you're going to want to try different style videos, you're going to want to try different angles. Maybe the bathtub thing wasn't exactly the best. Or sorry, you have the bathtub, instead of just talking about comfort when you get home from work, maybe it's aesthetically pleasing. You know, you'll have the bathtub and everybody will want to sit in it. Like I was at a friend of mine's house. He just got a new house the other day. And I went into his bathroom and he had this bathtub, and I was like, oh my God, can I sit in that? And he's like, yeah, sure. And I went and I just sat in it, and I was like, this is a sick bathtub. I would love to sit in here and actually use it. Right. So I don't know. You could use that as an angle. It's a stupid angle, but just understand, like, think about the way that people act. It's psychology. Okay. And you need to learn how to influence their behavior. Right. And so understand, if you aren't making any money, this is the key to like all of this. If you're not making any money, then your audience doesn't like you. It's very simple. If you're not making money, if you're not generating leads, if you're not generating booked appointments, your audience doesn't like you. That you threw ad creatives out there at them and they said, this is not good. And so you need to solve for that, which is why you make more creatives. Okay? Realistically, you should test like your offers before you run ads. You should test your creatives before you run ads, but you don't have to. There's ways that you can do that. And I have videos on my channel talking about how to test offers without running ads, or how to create offers without running ads, or even having a social media following. So you can go check that out on my page after this. But understand that if you're not making any money, your audience doesn't like you. It's not working well. It doesn't mean that Facebook ads don't work. That doesn't mean that Mark Zuckerberg is stealing all your money. It doesn't mean that your advertising agency is shit. It just means that whatever messaging you happen to be putting out there right now is not resonating with the people that you're trying to get work from. Also understand too, like if you have crappy leads, like if you're throwing out all this stuff and you keep getting a bunch of tire kickers or people that pick up the phone, they don't know why they picked up the phone, or why they filled out the form or don't remember who you are, like understand you're speaking to the wrong audience. So you will have to work on the audience. Like obviously there's more involved than just what I'm talking about here, right? And again, I have other videos like that on my channel that you can check out. But you have to understand that this, as a core principle, you're just doing something wrong. It doesn't mean that Facebook ads don't work. It just means that you need to change something about your offer, your creative, or your messaging. And there is data that is reflected on Facebook that you can use to actually see like if things are working properly or not. So you can use that data to actually get better results. But if you're not a data analyst or like a media buyer, you need to hire someone to do this for you. Okay, you need to hire a media buyer, right? That's my job. That's why I'm here. Because if you don't know what click-through rate or cost per click is, like I can, and I have videos on my channel where I talk about this stuff, but I'm not going to go into full detail today because this video is already running kind of long. But if you don't understand what cost per click is or click-through rate or cost per 1,000 impressions, these little tiny metrics, you're not going to be able to make the right decisions when it comes to running ads. You're just going to be throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing if it sticks. Now, if you're doing this, or if you're looking at this and this looks confusing, this like creative part, I actually have a bunch of creatives in the description, like a swipe file of bathroom and kitchen remodeling ads that are closing $25,000 to $50,000 projects. So if you want to just go into the description, you can click the first link and you can just go download a swipe file that is like my free resource. It's completely free, and it's just ad creatives and the primary text and everything that other businesses are using just like yours to close big projects. So you can go check that out right now. Now, number 4, this is the last step, and this is the biggest thing you need to understand: what to do with the leads after the lead comes in. As a core principle for this, all right, lead. A lead is a human being with emotions, thoughts, and a life, and should be treated as such. So understand, this person is a human being with emotions, thoughts, and a life, and should be treated as such. So these people, they're real human beings. They have other things going on in their life, okay? I'm a human being too. I know you're watching me in this YouTube video, and I'm just some guy on a screen. But after this, I'm going to finish my work for the day. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to continue my day. Like, I have things to do. Like, tomorrow, I have things like today's Friday, Saturday, I have my Saturday activities, and then Sunday, I have my Sunday activities. I have a life and a routine that my life fits together in that's probably different from yours. Understand, I'm a human being. I have my own personal struggles that I'm going through. Same thing with every single lead that you're talking to. Understand, these people have other things going on. They did not fill out the form and then they're sitting there waiting for you to call them and say, oh, like, I'm so ready to get my bathroom remodeled. In fact, I was just sitting here just thinking about you. That's all I could think about all day. Okay? A lot of people are going to fill out your form. They're going to be interested in your service. And then they're going to completely forgot about why they filled out your form. Or they're going to go get more estimates from other companies. This is a real thing that happens. You cannot change that about someone. All right? You might call the lead. They might not pick up the phone. They might forget that they filled out the form. Right? You have to understand you can't change that about human beings. People are forgetful. And this is something you need to understand that I always say to myself, and sometimes I have to say to my clients, is that some people are stupid. All right? Some people will fill out a form, not know why they filled out a form. Some people, you'll show up for the estimate and they'll assume that whatever you're selling is cheaper than it actually is. Some people are stupid, okay? And that's just the truth. So understand that. Some people, they're just dumb. So if you tell yourself that and you understand that, you can start to change your behavior around leads that come in. This is why I said at the beginning of the video, leads and cost per lead do not matter, because I can get you 100 leads and you could close 4 of them, but if on the first 10 leads that come in, the people don't really answer or they're not that nice because the algorithm is still learning who your actual audience is, and you just give up and say, oh, these leads don't work, and you don't call and have a conversation with any of them, you're just now wasting money. And this is the psychological thing that happens. I've seen people do this before, where they get all excited about lead generation, and as soon as they capture their first 5 or 10 leads, maybe one guy is serious, they book an inspection, and it goes kind of all right, whatever, and the rest of the leads are not that good, then all of a sudden it's, oh, it doesn't work, and then they mentally check out of it. When in reality, it's like, no, we just started a campaign. Meta's learning, your AI is learning to figure out what your audience is, what you're looking for, right? There's things that you have to track and you have to show. There's data that you have to build first before you just start closing a bunch of jobs. When you understand this stuff, you stop treating hiring an advertising agency as who's going to get me the most amount of leads or booked appointments in a certain time period, and you start hiring an advertising agency as who's going to be the best partner to generate the most revenue over the next coming years. Okay? So you have to look at things that way. You can't look at it as short term. I said, stop looking at it short term. All right. So you're going to have times where some leads aren't good. And when you have more qualifying questions and you're spending more money, you get more leads. And if you have more qualifying questions, they're more vetted and they're better leads. Right. So quite frankly, I really like working with people that are spending $1,000 to $3,000 a day, because when people are spending that much money on ads, they're going to get better results. We can see what's coming in faster. You can test faster. All right. And so we don't care about the stupid people because we're spending more money on ads. Okay. Not saying you have to start at $3,000 a day. You can start at $50, $100 a day, whatever. But just understand, every lead is more important when you have less lead flow. So you need to try and figure out how to get more leads quickly. That's why I said leads and cost per lead don't matter. All right. Revenue is what matters. So some people are stupid. And people are just human beings. That's just how they are. They're not going to answer the phone. They're going to forget what's going on. They're going to get, like, they're customers. All right. That's just how customers are. And you have to internalize that. However, we are going to contact these people until they buy, die, or unsubscribe. So some people are not going to pick up the phone on the first ring. They're not going to pick up on the second ring. They're not going to pick up on the 10th ring. Some people are not going to, some people are going to book an inspection, and then you're going to show up and you're going to have a conversation and they're going to say, this is cool, but not today. And then they're going to move on with their lives. And some of those people will come back 2-3 years later and purchase from you. Some of my best customers right now are people that I met a couple years ago that didn't purchase my service because they didn't have the money for it and they weren't ready or whatever. And then they decided one day to come back and start working with me. Some of my best customers. And it's because I continued to reach out to them forever. All right. And so we follow up with calls. So you want to make sure you're calling your customers. I would say at least once a quarter or once a year, bare minimum, you should be talking to every single prospect in your pipeline, or at least calling every single prospect in your pipeline at least once a year. But depending on your lead flow, you might want to back it down to a quarter, or at least call the qualified ones regularly. Like if you track their engagement score, if you see how many people are opening emails, how many people are responding to calls, text messages, you have a bunch of notes on them, I would call those people more frequently. If you know their name, if you know a little bit about their kids and stuff, if you know about their lifestyle, their wife's name, their business name, or whatever it is, I would call those people regularly so that you can develop a relationship. Understand that follow-up is about developing a relationship. A lot of people are like, close, close, close. I need to make money. I need to make money. When you stop thinking about it like that and you start treating people like humans, they have emotions, thoughts, and a life, and they should be treated as such. When you follow up with a lead and you haven't talked to them in a couple of months, and the first thing that happens when they hop on the phone, they start talking about something that's going on in their life that's a little bit personal. Stop sitting there, thinking, biting your finger, oh, how do I get this person to stop talking about this so I can start talking to them about how they need to buy my service? And listen to the human being, okay? Listen to the person. When you create a connection with another human being, that person becomes an advocate for your business. If you close, look, I'm going to show you why like return on ad spend and all that stuff doesn't matter. If you close a customer, right, let's just say you spend, I don't know, $3,000 and you close a customer on that $3,000, right? You continue to have conversations with that customer and keep them around. Most people, if you say you spent $3,000, you made $30,000, so your profit was $27,000, or your return was $27,000, maybe your profit was like $4,000, right? Or $3,000, so you kind of broke even on it. A lot of people will let that go. A lot of people won't follow up and continue speaking to them. If you develop a connection with a human that has emotion, thoughts, and a life and should be treated as such, if you treat them like a human and understand that they have a life, emotions, and thoughts, guess what? That person trusts you more. That person starts referring you other business. That person tries to work with you more, and they care about you. Again, some of my clients, I know on a personal basis. I break bread with some of my clients. I go, like, seriously, I've gone to dinner with my clients. I know their family. They talk to me regularly. We talk outside of business. Okay, I've traveled to go meet some of my clients because I've developed a great connection with them. And guess what they do? Since we developed a great connection, they refer me business. So yeah, I spent $3,000 acquiring that customer and I made 30 grand in return, but that customer referred me 10 other people. Now I made $300,000 off of one customer, and our cost to acquire that customer was $3,000. You see how now return on ad spend doesn't matter, your lead generation, your cost per lead doesn't matter, but your lifetime value of that customer, because that customer was able to generate you $300,000 worth of work, $300,000 to $3,000, you now have a 100x in your lifetime value to customer acquisition costs. If you do that with 10 people, you have successfully scaled your business off of $30,000 ad spend. You now are making $3 million. If you do that in 1 year, you've made $3 million with $30,000 in ad spend. This is how you build a business properly. When you start treating people like human beings, when you treat your leads like humans with emotions, thoughts, and a life, and you treat them as such. So we're going to follow up with these people. We're going to call them. We're going to add them to automation sequences, email nurtures, text campaigns, and then we can use AI as well to follow up with these people too. The winners do all three of these things. So understand, I know AI, it's scary, it's new, what do we do? I'm telling you, bro, AI is taking over, and if you're not using these things, your competition are, and they're going to kill you, bro. They're going to destroy you. Calls are getting harder and harder every single day. I remember when I first started this business about 4 years ago, I used to make cold calls. I could probably make 100 cold calls in a day and book 10, 15 quality appointments. Too bad I was awful at sales and I didn't know what I was selling back then. If I make 100 calls a day, I'd be lucky to get 1 or 2 people to book an appointment, and those people probably won't show up. Okay, it's getting harder. So understand, cold calls are more difficult. Now it's when you have people come from Facebook ads, it's a lot easier because they're expecting your call. This is why we call them very quickly. You want to call your lead within the first 5 minutes of them coming in, speed to lead. But if you can't call them, you need to have automations there. You need to have AI there. You need to have a place where they can book an appointment. It shouldn't just be, oh, the lead comes in and that's it. They need to be able to speak to you. You need to follow up with them. I had a customer the other day come to me. He just started about a month ago. I think it's the same guy I was telling you about earlier with having power in your life. He got like 30 leads. I said, how many did you close? He said, I closed 9. I said, okay. And he was talking to me about like the prices and all that stuff. And, you know, our return on ad spend was like a 4 or 5, which is like pretty good for a first month. And I said, well, why haven't you closed the rest of them? And he's like, well, I called them and they didn't pick up. And I was like, fucking call them again. Like, keep calling these people. You could probably close 3 or 4 more people. And again, that'd be a game changer. Put that money back in ads, and now we can continue to scale this thing. You need to follow up with your leads. All right, and then you need to have a CRM to track your leads. So I'll say it because some people don't know what it is. A CRM is a customer relationship manager. It's a database where you hold all of your customer information, and you can see and track where everybody is in the sales cycle, move them appropriately, and track your revenue, track your ad spend, track your ad data, track how many people are opening your emails. You can send out more emails. You can see how many emails get delivered. You can answer text messages, phone calls, do everything from within the CRM. If you still have a manila folder with customer data written inside of it and your estimates, you are doing business wrong. It's time to get online. It's time to do the online thing. Get a CRM. You need to learn how to track and manage customers. And this is a whole other video. I'm not even going to talk about like go into detail what CRMs are, but basically like it makes this process easier. Okay, so you're not sitting there in your notes writing down customers, having an Excel. Seriously, like if you want to grow a big business and you have an Excel sheet, like you're not taking the right risks, you're not doing the right things, because having an Excel sheet with your leads in it is not going to grow your business. Okay, you need to think smarter. Having an Excel sheet or a filing cabinet with all your customer information, that's a nightmare. All right, I'm paperless for the most part. Like I use paper because I want to use paper. I've been paperless the entire time I've been in business. You need to learn how to get rid of paper. And you need to learn how to have all your data in one spot. A good CRM I'd recommend is Go High Level. I'd also recommend HubSpot. I'd recommend also using AI to create your own CRM. Jobbers, like there's a lot of CRMs out there. You just need to find the right one for your business. And then understand, none of this stuff matters here. I mean, obviously it matters. I talked about it. But regardless, if you don't do this step here, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. I have seen businesses leave 7 and 8 figures worth of jobs on the table because they didn't follow up with leads. They didn't have conversations. They didn't put, because, oh, I don't want to use AI or it looks stupid. And I get it. You probably have a bunch of companies calling you all the time, trying to do business with you. Oh, I got this AI thing that's going to change your life, right? I know everybody's trying to pitch you, so it's scary. And you're like, how do I figure out who's the right one? But ultimately, you have to understand that, like, either you're going to have to figure it out on your own or hire someone to do it. So you're going to have to figure it out some way, shape, or form. If you want someone to do all this for you and you don't want to do any of this stuff, click the second link in the description, book a call with me, and I can have a detailed conversation about every single step in this process and show you exactly how to get better results in your own business so that you can start scaling and acquiring customers without just throwing money at the wall and seeing if it sticks. And finally, if you're watching this video and you're like, oh, this is cool, but I kind of want to learn this stuff on my own, so I don't want to work with you yet, that's completely fine. You can click this playlist right here to get more in-depth guides on how to use Facebook ads.